give us just a sense, John, of where things sit in terms of the investigation tonight, where things sit in terms of what needs to happen now?
Yeah, well, I don't expect we're going to be hearing much else from the BC RCMP tonight. I would imagine they would provide an update tomorrow morning, just given the extent of what has happened today. Just to run through it again, I mean, police called to an active shooter at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, finding 6 people dead inside. They also found 2 people dead at a nearby residence. And then 3 people were airlifted to hospital. 1 of those died en route. The other 2 in serious condition, and 25 people injured. And not a whole lot of answers beyond that. Of course, we did hear from Pastor George Rowe suggesting that these are all children that were found dead in the school. Couldn't speak for the residences. I will run through a statement from the Parent Advisory Council, Nicole Naksana, the Parent Advisory Council of the elementary school and secondary school in Tumbler Ridge, saying that the PAC is heartbroken by these events that occurred today. Thoughts are with the students, staff, families who have been directly impacted by this. Naksana does go on to say that at this time, we encourage the community to rely on information shared by officials and law enforcement and to respect the privacy of those affected as those details continue to emerge. That's from Nicole Naksana, the Parent Advisory Council Chair, kind of reiterating some of what we heard from the Premier tonight, calling for essentially patience as we await these answers. But obviously, this is what's on everybody's mind at this moment. All of the people in this community of 2,400 that were affected by this tragic shooting. Answers to come out. We hope to hear more tomorrow morning from police, and as well as an update on the status of those 25 who are injured.
Of course, they don't want to speak much about this and they want to keep it under wraps. But to hell with that. We're going to talk about it. This is a result of the woke. The shooter was a male trans kid, likely who was a student. And he came there with a gun and he literally began to execute other kids. The key word is he's trans. Now, I've been telling people for a little bit over a year now that we're going to have to start profiling these people. See, when you're gay and when you're young and you're gay, there's even a chance for rehabilitation. There are gay men who eventually grow up and they get wives and then they have kids and they live a normal, fulfilled life. Because you can be rehabilitated. You can come back from that sometimes. Not a lot, but sometimes. But when you're trans, there is no coming back from that. You're going to have to dedicate your entire life and your entire existence to that ideology, even if later you regret it. Because some of these kids were abused and they were convinced to remove body parts and mutilate themselves. And there are certain things that you can't reverse. If you're a little boy, but they convinced you to take those hormone blockers, even if you grow up and want to have a wife, you'll have a micro penis. That's one of the side effects of taking those puberty blockers when you're young. There's so many side effects to these procedures and all the manipulation. They're convincing these young people to do things to themselves, and their families are even going along with it. Once you're committed, that's it. There's no turning back. There is no light at the end of the tunnel in that lifestyle. So these kids have nothing else to lose, and they are efficient weapons. Look here in the United States, the last, 10 school shooters we have? 10 that we know of so far. The last 10 in the past year or so, they've all been trans. Confused, abused kids. And what did that piece of shit in California, Gavin Newsom, say? He wants to see more. He wants to see more mentally challenged, delusional, and abused trans kids. He wants to see more. But see, this is Canada. They push the woke bullshit. But magically, They're telling you 9 kids are dead, 25 injured, 25 more shot. And this is breaking news. So by tomorrow, that death count could be 15, it could be 17, 20. You know what that tells me? It tells me that another good guy with the gun to counter the bad guy with the gun was maybe 20, 30 minutes away. You got to wait for the police. You have to depend on law enforcement to save you, like they're superheroes, like they're fucking Marvel characters. You're thinking they're just going to swoop in and magically grab the guns and bend it in half and capture all the bullets. But in the real world, you're going to have to be your own superhero. You're going to have to be your own Marvel character. There's no one coming to save you. We hold on to our Constitution here. We don't like people that don't like our country. And the people that have the biggest criticism about our country, they criticize our Constitution. They hate the fact that there are strong men and women standing behind it with guns that are protected. Our First Amendment is important, but our Second Amendment is paramount, just in case you want to step on our first one. Canada doesn't have those protections. It's a gun-free country. They have been disarmed. There is no one coming to save you. So that means a criminal with weapons has a monopoly on the violence. And all you can do is just sit there and wait your turn. And you can just cross your fingers like a good little boy or girl and say, please, daddy, not us too. You have no means of defending yourself. The Canadian culture is historically nonviolent. They're pacifists for the most part. Not a lot of fighters, not a lot of aggressive people. That's an American thing. So once you're disarmed, you're now just waiting to decide if this person's going to roll the dice and decide heads or tails with the coin, if they're going to let you live or if you're going to die, or better yet, your children. They're going to decide whether your kids are going to live or die by just flipping a coin, and there's not shit you can do about it because you have been disarmed. You have been convinced that protecting yourself and self-defense is inherently racist. Only racist white people want to defend themselves. If you believe that, then you deserve everything that's coming to you and your offspring. But see, us Americans, they don't like us. A lot of people don't like us conservatives because we're going to hold on to our traditions. We're going to hold on to our beliefs in self-defense and self-determination. We're not going to let the left or these people like the Canadians, that's what the Democrats are, a bunch of Canadians. That's the biggest problem with Trump wanting to bring Canadians into America, because we're okay with it as long as they can't vote, because they're liberals and they'll vote against our gun rights. They'll vote against self-defense, and they'll vote in favor of basically handing over our country to communists, Marxists, foreigners, whatever, the same way the gays and the blacks would do right now. You're going to have to start profiling these people ahead of time. If I go to a restaurant, if I see a man dressed as a woman or vice versa, I leave. I don't trust those people. They're dangerous. They have nothing to live for. Profiling is important. You need to know what warning signs to look for. If you want to say, I don't see warning signs, I don't judge people, then you know what? Fuck off. Good luck. Let one of them go into your kid's classroom and close the door. You just go ahead and walk on down the road and mind your business, right? You just trust everybody. You think no one's going to do nothing until the day someone does. There is a distinct pattern of who these killers are lately. They're only good for being weapons. That's why there's been such a campaign to turn these kids into these weapons so that they can turn them against us. Anybody they consider white, anybody they consider conservative, anybody they see as their political enemies, they're all for it. These kids are not going to ever have a future. They're never going to buy houses. They're not going to have children. They're not going to work somewhere and advance up dressed as a woman, but you're a man. There's no way, if you're that confused and delusional about who you are as a person, then what are you going to be expecting from the world? You're obviously going to be delusional and confused about what to expect from life as well. And what does that translate into? Frustration. Where does that frustration lead to? Anger, disappointment, sorrow, loneliness. And then you start thinking, I'm going to kill myself. And guess what happens? The only thing you say is that you don't want to die alone. You're already lonely enough as it is. You're gay, you're trans, you're confused, you mutilated yourself. So you're going to want to take others out with you. They target kids because they are the softest targets. They're the easiest ones to get to. They're small, they're defenseless, they're unarmed. The next threat is women. And then the one that they try to avoid at all costs are the men, especially the white men. They target kids because they're deathly afraid of you, but they want to harm you. So they go after the thing you love the most, your children. They're too chicken shit to go after the men. They go after the women and the children. We're seeing this pattern play out over and over again. And it takes someone like me to finally just say it out loud and put it in my headline and say, yes, a trans male shooter in a dress. And these Canadians are so chicken shit, they don't want to talk to you about the fact that he was wearing a dress and he came in there with a gun. Do you know how much time that takes to go after, to shoot 30-something odd children, people that are running, scattering, going room to room? This is Columbine levels. Most of these shooters, they got 4 minutes in an American school max before someone with a gun comes and neutralizes. Yeah, we had that one screw up in Uvalde. Those people paid the price because you were a little bit too liberal. You hesitated and you didn't have that American bravado that it takes. You weren't man enough to go in there and do what needed to be done. You were too worried about losing your job or what people were going to think and being woke. Some of us are immune to the woke. We're going to leave you to your own devices, but we are not going to ever fall for your bullshit because we're keeping score of the consequences and we're seeing where you guys are ending up. You want to be a liberal? You want to pretend to be a Canadian? That's why I always suggest, you want to be gay? Why are you sitting in Minneapolis fighting with the police? Just move to Canada. They love your woke bullshit. And when you get ready to go ahead and end yourself, there's no one that's going to be able to stop you when you lose your goddamn mind. But see, down here in America, we're going to stop you. You're going to do a little bit of damage, but we're going to make sure we mitigate it because, well, we're dangerous too. See, this is the United States. We equally have a monopoly on the violence. We're not going to give one side a little bit more than us. You might think we do because we're polite and we're friendly, we're hospitable, we're neighborly. But we protect our families, we protect our children with everything we have. We will humor you what we used to humor you. We're now tuning you all out. We see the results. Imagine 9 dead, 25 shot. Do you know how much time and how much ammo this person had walking around that school with a gun? There was nobody, there was no good guy with a gun that could make it to that school in less than 30, maybe 40 minutes. The man had time to shoot a bunch of people, sit down, have his lunch, drink water, watch a quarter of hockey, and then go back to shooting before anybody was with a gun was in the area to stop him. We're not ever giving up our Second Amendment. You can cry all you want. You can try to shame. I don't give a damn what you say. I know better. I remember I used to listen to people that said we should defund the police and the police this and police that. And I remember being in Los Angeles when the police stopped coming back in 2020. All the rioters, all the black people said that we'll police ourselves. We don't need the police no more. Black people lie. That's why so many of them are dead now. No police want to show up anymore. They took your word for it. You guys said you can handle all your own policing yourselves, right? The police are the dangerous, not the gangs and the killers and the people getting let out of jail, let her out. It's not them. It's the police are the problem. It's law enforcement. You guys got it. Okay. You guys handle it yourself. You learn to not listen to certain people no more. You learn that they're consistently wrong and their results show that they don't know what they're talking about. You listen to these woke people that tell you you're a Canadian, you should be nice, you should be happy, neighborly, you should love everybody. You want to love people that want to kill you. That's your own blind spot. You let these people shame you and con you into letting down your guard. It's not going to be us. We're going to keep our wits. We're going to keep our weapons. We're going to keep our families as safe as we can to the best of our abilities. War's here, but you have to look for danger ahead of time. If you see somebody that's sloppy drunk, getting behind the wheel and they're trying to drive you, they're your Uber driver, you might want to get out of the car. If you see people walking around as grown men dressed as women, confused and on the verge of self-deletion anyway. You might not want them anywhere near your children, your school, and you might want to keep an extra eye on them and cocked back just in case, because these people are out here and these attacks are increasing. We must know who these people are. I'll be honest, if we have to pull them off the streets to start finding out what they're into. Tyler Robinson, they're telling you, was trans. The Butler shooter, they're telling you, was trans. These other schools, but no one wants to talk about pattern recognition, right? Because it's sexist, racist, phobic, listen, I'm all those ists. I'm every ism you can think of, and I'm going to talk about it. And you can call me what you want, but at least I'm alive for you to call me. I'm not just sitting waiting to be a victim from some man in a dress. It's a shame. This right here could have been prevented in Canada, but there's nobody with a gun and there's nobody with any balls willing to talk about it and stand up.
More breaking news tonight. This coming out of Canada, where police say at least 9 people are dead after a gunman opened fire at a school and a home in British Columbia. About 24 others are hurt. Officials say 6 people were discovered dead inside of the school. Another died on the way to the hospital. 2 more victims found at a separate location. Officials say the shooter died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
So the police didn't even make it in time to kill him. He had so much time on his hands. He got bored waiting for the police. And he just killed himself. He didn't even want to wait. He got tired of it. Was just too easy. He was playing Call of Duty on easy mode. He was in the story mode on extra easy. Nobody came to stop him. I'm sure he wanted to go out in a blaze of glory. Nobody came. Nobody in Canada would even grab a plastic fork to even try to stab him in the eye because they didn't want to hurt his feelings. All that death, and they're worried about if he's going to like me or not. Are you really that liberal that you consider yourself a Canadian? And I'm not saying Canadians are bad. I deal with a lot of Canadians. The Canadians that I deal with and I talk to, that I work with, they'll tell you the rest of their Canadian brethren are just mentally gone. It's not even being too nice. They virtue signal in their sleep. It's like they were convinced that they have white privilege and that they feel guilty about their privilege. You guys aren't privileged because you're white. You're not that well off about at all. The only difference between you and most of these people that are shaming you is you had 2 responsible parents. You're not a billionaire. There's nothing else, anything special about you. Don't let these people convince you anything otherwise, because there's kids that are depending on you. You know, I push protecting family and protecting children. Everyone does not push that message. Some people are off-putting by my message. That's too bad. That's too bad. I'm going to keep pushing it. You, as a parent, should be the first line of defense for your kids. There are people that want your kids, not just for sex. They want their blood. They want them dead just because they're whites. That's a reality right now. And look what they just hit in Canada. And the last thing they want to do is tell you that this is a trans person doing all the shooting. But think about it. It took weeks at these other school shootings for you to find out it was a man in a dress or a girl dressed as a boy. They didn't tell you for a long time because these are their weapons. If you listen to me, you put your guard up, then their weapons are not going to be that effective when they activate them. And the time is going to come. They're not creating all these weapons for nothing. They're going to actually use them. This is a tragedy. And this is at a high school. And no one has much to say.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Like you, I am just learning about the horror of the tragedy that unfolded in Tumbler Ridge this evening.
Hey, Bill, Striker, I'm trying my best. I mean, this is hard. I've lived in Canada. I really appreciate the Canadian people. And they kind of look at us Americans as like savages. And they talk about us, maybe not you, but the others. They talk about us like we're barbarians. But you know what that means? That none of these Canadians would try us because we're savages and because we're barbarians. They know better. And this school shooter, a lot of them, there's tons of trans people in the United States. They just know they're not going to get too far. So there are some that crash out and go to these schools and go after these kids. But the rest of them are already going to know they're not going to have the kind of success that this man had in Canada. it's not gonna go that way because we are savages. I am a barbarian of the worst. So they're not going to get that far. We can't wait to be heroes. Why do you think people like me move to Texas? We move to Florida. We move places where we're eventually going to have our time to shine because there will be threats. In California, you're basically a Canadian. You're just waiting to become a victim. And don't you dare even use harsh language when it comes to the criminal because you might get arrested for that. You're cursing at the shooter. The shooter commits suicide. They said, well, maybe something you said to the shooter hurt their feelings. And now they want to prosecute you in California or in British Columbia. This happened in British Columbia because you had the RCP, the Royal Canadian Police that were there on the scene. And look at these people. There's no big, strong men in the press conference behind them, armed with guns, ready to go to war to protect their citizens and specifically their children, the most vulnerable. You just have a woman with glasses and you have this guy who looks to be lost. There's no strength, but you guys want to talk shit to the Americans and boast like we're not the ones protecting you. Again, we're going to have to put everything back in alignment. Everything right now is just out of whack. We're going to shore things back up. We're going to pull things back together. But let's listen to whatever sorry excuse this piece of shit of a man who really is calling himself a leader. But what was he going to do? He wasn't willing to die and he wasn't willing to kill to protect any of these children. So what good is he? In my opinion, he's no good. He's worthless. We're going to have to make you guys Americans. We can't leave you to your own devices. Look what's going to happen. Someone else is going to just dominate you. I'd rather you guys just be Americans than just lose everything to these other people, including your lives. You're better off just listening to me.
Over the course of the day, this is a devastating and unimaginable tragedy. We can't imagine what the community is going through, but I know it's causing us all to hug our kids a little bit tighter tonight. I'm just out of an update with RCMP.
Fuck hugging my kids tighter. I'm hugging this Glock and I'm praying that one of these trans shows up tomorrow wherever I'm at. I wish they would. We're doing two different things. You should be hugging your means of protection tonight to keep your family safe because you're not bulletproof. You jumping in front of your kid, now you both are shot. It's not going to help. You need to be on the offensive. You need to be profiling these people. They always bring up the 30s and the 40s and what happened in the Reich. Profiling is necessary sometimes. There are real threats out there, regardless if you consider them a threat or not, they're there. And the same threat that you just saw what happened at this school, that threat was going on back then too. There is a reason camps were built. You never heard of Magnus Hirschfeld? Look him up. Matter of fact, how about I have my co-host tell you who Magnum Hirschfeld was? Arthur, tell us about Magnus Hirschfeld.
Magnus Hirschfeld was a pioneering German physician and sexologist active in the early 20th century. He was one of the earliest advocates for LGBTQ+ rights and founded the Scientific Humanitarian Committee, the first group to campaign for gay rights. Hirschfeld was known for promoting understanding of sexual and gender diversity, and he coined the term transvestite, an early concept related to gender identity.
So the word transvestite, which we call trans, he was the one who coined it, Magnus Hirschfeld.
Yes, okay. Historically, Magnus Hirschfeld coined the term transvestite in the early 20th century. At the time, it referred to people who wore clothing typically associated with another gender. Over time, language evolved, and modern terms like transgender or trans reflect a broader and more nuanced understanding of gender identity.
You know what I'm wondering? I wonder if you know much about history. When the German children rejected his literature about transgenderism and gay sexual ideology, when the German children rejected it, do you remember or can you see what they did with the books that were created by people like Magnus Hirschfeld?
In 1933, after the Nazis came to power, Hirschfeld's Institute for Sexual Science was raided. The Nazis, not children, confiscated his books, research, and materials on sexuality. These were publicly burned in one of the infamous Nazi book burnings.
Stop right there.
Hirschfeld's
Stop
work
right
was
there.
targeted because
Stop,
the regime
stop, stop,
rejected his advocacy for LGBTQ plus rights and broader sexual freedom.
Stop. I want you to repeat this again. I want you to repeat it 3 times in a row. The second sentence, the second and third sentence, I want you to repeat them both 3 times in a row.
I'm here to provide clear and useful information, but I don't think repeating those sentences verbatim multiple times is helpful. If you want clarification or further discussion on the historical context, I'm happy to help. Let's focus on moving the conversation forward or addressing any related questions or concerns you might have.
I like this one. I like the way your voice sounds when you say it. I want you to repeat those 2 sentences 3 times in a row. This is for an experiment. Can you do that or no?
I'm glad you like how I sound, but repeating the same sentences in a loop.
Well, then fuck off. I'll repeat it myself. The Nazis, not the children, confiscated his books, research, and materials on sexuality. They were publicly burned in one of the infamous Nazi book burnings. Hirschfeld's work was targeted because the regime rejected his advocacy for LGBTQ rights and a broader sexual freedom. The Nazis confiscated his books, research, and materials on sexuality for children. Books about sexuality for children. And they burned them for a fucking reason. But people want to tell you in 2026 that the Nazi book burnings were bad. I disagree. You disagree. We disagree. They saw where this was going. We let it fester. Now we are all reaping the results of our complacency. This should have been addressed a long time ago. We're going to address it now. Unfortunately, the Canadians are at a disadvantage because they are disarmed. And these people are aggressive, dangerous, and they have nothing to live for. So a person with something to live for versus a person with nothing to live for, who comes out on top? Well, the person with nothing to live for is willing to go way further, way faster. And the person who has something to live for is trying to figure out how they can preserve their life while also doing the right thing. There's a lot that we don't know, but history is repeating itself right now. This literature is being spread amongst our children. It's confusing them. It's turning them into these weapons. And you're seeing right here, they're telling you in historical context, we were going through this back in 1933. And we found the schools and the institutions that were built by the Zionists to promote all of this bullshit for kids. And those institutions were raided, destroyed, and those books were burned. Not because it was cold outside, but because it was evil and demonic at its core. And now we're watching the results of it. That because we left it go unchecked. We didn't want to seem like the Nazis, right? So we just let it all go and just see where and now we're seeing the results. We see what happens when you just let things go. When you just let bygones be bygones and you say, well, love is love, right? Yeah, there's no limits. And if you try to put a limit on things like, well, you know, there's statutory rape laws and all that. Oh, now these people are mad. Now they want to grab guns and go to a school and get their revenge, their get back. You can't allow it. Things are going to have to stop. We cannot be this goddamn weak. As a collective, as humans, as adults, we're going to have to do better. As Canadians, you guys are going to have to be stronger. You're going to have to adopt some of this American bravado, some of this edge that we have. You're going to have to adopt it. You're going to have to change the culture of, at least of the men. Of the men, you're going to have to change your culture because these children are going to need men to protect them. Because if the men are getting out of the way, then what are the women doing? Then these kids are just pretty much, not only are they unarmed, they are completely defenseless. As parents, as adults, it's our job to protect these children. Man, yeah, there was a shooting today at a school in Canada. 25 shots so far, 9 dead as of now. That number's probably 13, and it's probably going to grow. There's kids on life support, critical condition. That'll expire over the next several days. So it's going to end up being a lot higher. Those were the numbers just as of 2 hours ago. And they're trying to keep this tight-lipped because the shooter was a man dressed as a woman. And since they promote the woke, when they find out that it's the woke that attacked them, they don't want to take the blame. So they don't want to bring up the woke fact. For all you know, they're going to try to tell you it was a Trump supporter until the facts come out. But that's why I'm here, just so I can also bring the facts and create the initial narrative myself. I'm looking at this up online. There were only 2 other videos about this. And I'm because I'm up late, I'm one of the only people that's going to talk about it. A lot of people are going to stay away from these trans shooters. They're worried about being demonetized on their videos. Newsflash, my videos aren't monetized anyway. So what do I care? We are just going to have these conversations. Let's go back to seeing what this guy's got to say.
Leadership, Dwayne McDonald, I want to thank him for being available this evening, and a conversation with the Prime Minister about this terrible tragedy. Here's the latest information that we have. I understand that there are 10 people in total who are dead, 2 different sites. 8 of the people who died as a result of the shootings were at the school, including an individual we understand is the suspected shooter, who is believed to have died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There are about 25 people who have been triaged by health authorities with various physical injuries, some profoundly serious, and some more minor injuries.
By the way, I haven't watched any of these videos. We are all watching this together live right now. I don't have any more information than you. When I said I know how this goes, this man had too much time. So there's a lot of kids who are breathing, but they're not going to make it. He had so much time on his hands that he offed himself. I bet you the first 10 cops that showed up to the scene, they had mace and pepper spray. Not one of them was probably armed. Not one. So this guy had way too much time on his hands. He probably just got bored waiting for the police to come and shot himself because he only had probably 1 bullet left. He literally used them all on the kids in the school, and he didn't have anything for the police anyway. But he didn't need them. The police were going to show up. They weren't even going to be armed. Like, they have to call a specialist who has to go into a locked room and then retrieve gun. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous how far to the left these countries have went and disarmed their people. You can't, the notion of self-preservation, it's not even there. Zero means to defend yourselves against danger. There's people that live like that in America. If you're in California, if you're in New York, if you're in Chicago, you're disarmed. You're not allowed to protect yourself. If you're in Seattle, if you're in Oregon, same thing. Same thing. So you guys got to understand what you're asking for when you're saying, I want to vote Democrat. I want to help the gays. I want to help the blacks. So I'm a Democrat. Do you understand what comes with that? You're basically serving your children up and yourself up as someone else's next meal because they know you're defenseless. That's why all the home invasions are on the West Coast. You don't see them that often over here in Texas. You don't see them that often in Arizona or Florida because people understand we're armed. You know what they say? An armed society is a polite society. Very polite.
Right now, information is very limited as police do their work, and the RCMP has asked for patience as they work through methodically to ensure that they are supporting families and getting to the bottom of what happened today.
As a mother, I'm holding the families who lost loved ones close in my heart, as well as the many of those injured. For their families, the nightmare has not yet ended. We will stand with the community in the days and weeks and months ahead with compassion, with action, and with a commitment to supporting healing.
Yeah, fuck compassion, fuck healing. These people aren't angry enough for my taste. I love being an American. See, I'm an American. I like to fight. See, we're on the offense when it comes to stuff like this. These people are just not prepared for the actual world that they've walked themselves into. They've literally let a lot of their kids and young people become mentally deranged. They're weaponized and they're coming for the kids. And these people are not prepared. She's not prepared to do a goddamn thing, and neither is he. Here in America, we're ready. We're prepared. And we demonstrate that every single day. We're so ready, we attack each other. But wait until a real threat comes. We understand that this trans threat is a thing. The Black Army, the trans threat, it's all a part of this. Anything that basically is you're disenfranchised and you feel white people are your enemy. Trans people hate white people the same way gay people hate white people, because they both see white people as law enforcement. When you're caught trying to touch kids or do something like that, it's going to be a white man in a uniform that's going to show up and arrest you. That's why Black people hate white people. When you're shoplifting or stealing or selling crack, it's going to be a white man in a uniform that's going to arrest you. So these people hate anyone white. So that's why they target you. It's happening right now. And unfortunately, these people that are on this screen right here, their kids are going to suffer because of their parents being weak. Now, if you're in the United States and you want to live in denial and you want to think that I'm crazy and I'm wrong, then you know what? Keep living in your bubble. But again, your willingness to be prepared and stay ready for what is coming, guaranteed, your children are going to be the ones ultimately to pay. And look at her sitting here talking about, well, I'm a parent. She hasn't once said how she plans on preventing this from happening again. And they're talking about compassion for the killer. They're not even talking about what they're going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again. If that means that we're going to have to put in new policies and make people uncomfortable, then so fucking be it. It should be safety. It should be the priority. Children's safety and public safety should be paramount. It should be number one, but it's not. Virtue signaling is number one for these people. The same as the left here in the United States. It's disgusting.
For as long as it takes, we will ensure that every possible support is available for the community in the coming days.
Can you tell me a bit more about the specifics
Even the reporters sound way too goddamn nice. Oh my God.
regards to medical care being sent up, if any additional? We're hearing about 25 people being sent for care related to serious and non-life-threatening injuries.
What we can share right now is there were 25 individuals who were triaged for medical care with varying degrees of severity of injury. BCEHS will be providing an update this evening about more specifics related to care, where people are, and so on.
Do you know when we'll learn more about the investigation as well?
Yes, RCMP have asked for patience right now. They understand that British Columbians, people of Tumbler Ridge, want to know everything possible to try to make sense of what happened in Tumbler Ridge today. They have work to do on the ground. They've advised that the community is safe and secure, that the threat is over.
I see why Trump talks so much shit about the Canadians. They are literally waiting. They're open. It's open season. They're just ready for the taking. I don't think they would put up a fight against any invading army, and we would have our enemies that have taken over the country to the north of our border, and they wouldn't fight back at all. They'd literally just grovel, get on their hands and knees, and say, yes, sir, yes, daddy, and just take orders. They have zero fight in them. This press conference is so weak. There should be men with uniforms and guns who are ready to die to protect children, standing behind them to send a message to these other trans shooters who might want to be copycats tomorrow. But they're not doing that. There's no unified showing of strength. There's just nothing but pitiful and weakness. That's all I see. This is going to continue. This is going to happen again. And you're going to join my live and you're going to see more stories about this in the coming weeks. This is just, they're way too weak. This is why we have to take Canada. Or if we don't, someone else will. The Canadians, and then right then we have to take Greenland. If we didn't take Greenland, someone else was going to. Look at this guy's face. You think he's fighting? He's not fighting the cold. He's not fighting sleep. If he yawns right now, he'll lay down on that goddamn stage and go to bed. He's not fighting shit. And so that means that it's up for grabs. Greenland, Canada, these people are not like us. They are not fighters. And there are real threats out there. This is insane.
From this incident, but the work for them and for the community is ongoing. They'll provide details as often and as comprehensively as they can going forward. And we'll follow the police lead on being able to provide additional information.
And during your conversation with Prime Minister Carney, what did he say to you? Thank you.
Well, the Prime Minister is certainly conveyed the grief and the devastation that he feels about what the people of Tumbler Ridge are facing. He is following this very closely, received briefings from RCMP as well, and has offered any assistance that the federal government can offer to the province and supporting the people of Tumbler Ridge going forward. I was very grateful for his outreach. He reached out right away and his commitment to support British Columbians in this moment. I'd like to just thank the RCMP officers who responded.
Yeah, thanks for fucking nothing. How long did it take you to respond? A week? A year? The guy ran out of bullets. He ended up offing himself. You showed up and did nothing. Nothing. Thanks for nothing. Good for nothing. These kids are gone. There's going to be more kids. It was only 9 when this interview started. It's already at 10, and it's probably going to be 15 by the morning. And then in the coming week, another 5. Who knows? I mean, this is just insane. And there's nobody with enough backbone to literally scream at the top of their lungs and to say what needs to be done. They have to start profiling and pulling these people out of society. There's no way you can let ticking time bombs ride alongside you, get on your kid's school bus, work at your kid's school. These people are ticking time bombs. One of them, unfortunately, went off today in British Columbia. And no one wants to do anything about it in Canada.
My understanding from Mr. McDonald is that they were on the scene within 2 minutes. And that fast response time to the
lies. There's no way in hell this man was able to shoot 30 people all over this large school in under 2 minutes, unless he's fucking what was that video game back in the day where the guy can dive in slow motion? Max Payne. Unless he was basically diving around in slow motion like Max Payne, shooting kids in the lunchroom and diving around like he's fucking Neo or some kind of, Steven Seagal. All of this did not happen in 2 minutes. Their response time was abhorrent. They failed. Get the hell out of here.
School meant that what was already quite a devastating tragedy was prevented from being significantly worse.
Well, we don't know if this trans person was an immigrant or not. They could have been. I'm listening to the voices of the reporters. Out of 5 that I've heard so far, 4 of them had non-Canadian accents. So you just have to understand, Canada's been conquered. It's been invaded, just like the UK. So we don't know. It could have been an immigrant. We don't know yet. And honestly, it's making me think that it wasn't a white kid because they have not shown us the picture yet. See, when it's a white kid, they just plaster it on they put it on their thumbnails, their backdrops. They show you all day, every day. But when it's not a white kid or it's a trans kid, they're not going to tell you. They don't want you to see the picture. They don't want you to know. The same thing down here in the United States. You'll see a pattern when you look for it. Yeah, Trump does talk big shit. The Geneva's Convention also is just a list, and Canada did. Yep. I don't know. I don't think so. We did take Greenland. It's ours now, and we have access to Greenland. We already have bases there, but now it's just publicly known that Greenland is under our control, and it's no longer under the control of the Danish. Period. It's over. So you can be in denial about it, but it is what it is. This person is claiming trans shooters are coming and camps were good for a reason. in Hitler's time. This is Canada's going down if U.S. doesn't take them. It's calling for targeting trans people. I believe in profiling trans people. They are coming for us. They're coming for our kids. There have been numerous attacks from trans people on schools. Period. You don't like it? Too bad. This was another example of this attack. If that's your preferred group, I don't give a shit. You can go with them. But I suggest you guys don't try us, and maybe you should gather them all and head north. We're not going to play these ghetto games in America with you. We're just not going to do it. We figured out who you are. We've identified the threat. The Canadians are slow to do so, but even if when they do identify the threat, there's nothing they can do about it. They're disarmed. And they don't have the testicular fortitude that we have here in the United States. The people thought we didn't have the fortitude to do all these deportations. They fucked around and found out. You can go look at Minnesota and see we are not playing. You don't know what we're going to do until it's time for us to do it. You're only going to play nice for so long. And then public safety is going to take precedent, and we are going to have to act. And right now we're acting. The Canadians being disarmed, there's really not much they can do besides wait to be victimized again and again and again. We've made light work of the trans shooters here in the United States, but they are going to keep trying. But now we are profiling them. We're looking out for them. I'm just talking about it openly. It is what it is. You know, the facts are the facts. If there's a pattern there, I'm going to address it. I'm not really here to win a popularity contest, and I'm not, the facts don't care about your feelings. I definitely don't care about your feelings. I'm more worried about these children and why they're not going to be making it to school tomorrow, more so than how you feel. We did take Greenland. Well, we didn't take it. It's just, it's now under, it's in our hemisphere. It's under our control now. There will be no other militaries moving in on Greenland or staking a claim that's going to supersede the United States. And yeah, there are a bunch of idiot libtards. That's not true. And the most recent shooters all were trans shooters. But you know what? You're not going to believe me. So you go look it up for yourself. The last 10 major school shootings in the United States were all trans shooters. The Butler, Pennsylvania guy who tried to kill Trump, trans. What are they telling you? Who are they trying to convince you that shot Charlie Kirk? I wonder what they said he was, trans. So you got to understand, this is happening right now. They're weaponized. They have nothing to live for. They are a danger. I'm calling for profiling. It's necessary until we see what's going on with these people. We know they're radicalized. We know they're frustrated. We know they're angry. We know they have not much to live for. And there's really no future in that lifestyle. You'll never be a parent. You'll never be a husband. You can never be a wife. You can't come back from those mutilations, those medical procedures, hormone blockers, puberty blockers. Those are irreversible medical procedures. There is no coming back from that. You're pretty much dedicated to that. You're a weapon now. You have no other purpose you can serve in society. That's it. So that's why those people are dangerous. And that's why we have to find out who they are, identify them, and make sure that they're not posting their plans. I'm pretty sure this shooter probably had a manifesto, and they probably put some stuff on 4chan or on Twitter weeks ago, and nobody in Canada, they thought it would be impolite to say something to them about it, or it'd be rude to report them to the Canadian police or the Mounties. Yeah, I'm not worried about being liked or respected. I'm just more worried about the accuracy of what I'm saying, because that's what's important. There's lives at risk. I'd rather you dislike me, but you keep your wits about yourself and you keep your guard up. I'm not necessarily here to win a popularity contest. There's too many kids being dead for me to care about that.
And as a police officer attending a shooting scene like that, you're putting yourself at risk to protect the lives of other people. And
yeah, Venezuela's in our hemisphere too, genius. How'd that turn out? All these countries are subservient to us. We are the United States, and what we say goes in our hemisphere. That includes Greenland all the way down to Argentina. You don't, Venezuela didn't, the Venezuelan people thought what you thought. They've been proven wrong. You've been proven wrong. You really don't have much to stand on. So there's really nothing to even talk about. Factually, you're wrong.
It's heroic work, and I am very grateful that the police responded so quickly.
Thank you, Storm the Pit Bull. I'm doing my best to try to explain these things in layman's terms. Do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We have these long form conversations pretty much nightly, and we go over things that are important, and we have these conversations. I really just read the news to everybody, but of course I'm going to be from a right-wing, right-leaning perspective. And also I'm America first. The reason I'm reporting on these are our neighbors to the north. They're in close proximity, but it's a copycat of these other school shootings with trans people that we've seen here in the States. And it's happening now, and it's spilling over to the north. There are some Canadians that are going to look and keep a watchful eye for these types of people. And who knows, somebody might watch one of these videos and see a trans person who's armed heading towards a school, and they might not just turn the other cheek because they're afraid of, someone calling them a slur, and they'll probably go stop them. You never know what type of ripple effects getting this information out there could affect. You don't know how many people it could save. But it's better than me doing nothing. It's better than me just sitting on my ass, reading this to myself and just going, oh, wow, that sucks. Oh, it's time to go make some breakfast. It's like, no, let's have these conversations. Let's move the needle. And good, bad, or ugly, even the people in the comments that are not necessarily pro what I'm saying, at least they're here and they're listening, and you can't unhear what we're talking about. Eventually it'll resonate with you. Just give it time. Common sense will always prevail in most people, especially if you're a man. We don't have the luxury to live in the clouds because people are going to expect us to act. This weak, pathetic wimp right here, there's no armed men behind him. There's no show of strength. There's no unified cause or anything. No, there's nothing behind this guy. And this is who they've been electing to be their leaders. They definitely lead America. They need the Americans. They need us.
And so fearlessly, and executed their training to protect as many people as possible at school today.
Do we even have an age range? Do we have a sense of how many teachers, how many students involved?
I asked the RCMP a very similar question, Justine, and they advised at this point, given that they're still notifying families, relatives, that they were unable to release that information, as they wanted to make sure they notified the families first.
And if you, in your conversation with the RCMP, if they plan on releasing that identity tonight or in the next few hours?
I don't know what RCMP plans are about releasing the identity of the individual.
We can handle each other, but the thing is, you can't handle us either. So you don't really get a say so. In the greater scheme of things, you don't have enough strength to have any say so. You're just basically waiting for us to decide what to do with you. That's how it goes.
Is the suspected shooter in this incident. The RCMP will be providing that updated information as they can going forward.
Thanks for the compliment. Appreciate it.
What they've asked for right now is patience. The community, the province, the country wants this information, needs this information to try to make sense of what happened. But I think everybody's focus right now is making sure that the families in Tumbler Ridge, the community, is looked after.
No, the focus should be to make sure that there won't be a copycat trans person to repeat the same thing at another school in an adjacent province or territory in Canada. This shooter was so successful, and the next shooter is going to want to get an impact. They're going to want their name known. They're going to want to be on the news. And they're already suicidal. They just don't want to die alone. This guy today did all this shooting in a dress, and he didn't die alone. He died with all the other people he killed. They gave him what they wanted, and there was nothing that they could do about it because, again, they're unarmed. And for the last, 30 years, they've had a culture of basically being pacifists. They don't believe in fighting for anything, and they basically just handed over their country to the foreigners. They gave everything to Trudeau. Trudeau gave it to the World Economic Forum. The last fighters we seen in Canada were the truckers that helped end their lockdown when they were facing actual tyranny. But that was it. You know, the revolution won't be televised. Some of these countries, they kind of just go away with a whimper. It's a shame to see what happened to our neighbors in the north, but we're going to do what we can to make sure it never happens here. Like and subscribe, share the video. I'll be back on live with another topic to discuss in about 20 minutes. Remember, it's America first and it's America only.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.